Paper Fantasy is a very influential movie about a bunch of things happening out of order. I've heard about it for a long time, but first watched it like last year or something, and it was pretty lit. This movie does the most sometimes, so if I had seen it as a fetus, it probably would have been a problem. Also, I'm not trying to see those yellow dollar signs next to the video when I put it out, so we're just gonna have to talk about the host getting piped without actually seeing it. Despite that, we still have enough to go over that would fill up the time needed. So the movie begins in some restaurant where two limbs are talking to each other. They're married, and they're discussing whether or not they want to finesse. The male isn't feeling it, but the female thinks she's tough, so she really wants to pull a scheme. Eventually, the two bums decide to rob the very store they're in after the good service they've been given, a true testament to their complete ungratefulness. So after that, it cuts to a white guy and a Negro in a whip, talking about Europe or something. The white guy just came back from the Dutch land, and he's telling his associates about how weed was legal there. And to all you niggas watching, it's important to note that grass being legal everywhere wasn't really a thing when this movie came out, cause it's dust. Then he starts talking about how in Europe, niggas don't know how to say food names right. When they get out the whip, they pull out the straps in anticipation of a mission, and then start talking about their boss's wife, and how she tried to act, and got a rando put on a stretcher by her husband. But the guys start debating the ethics of ruining a man's life over them not even committing adultery, even though they're hired to put people in blunts, so they obviously have no moral compass. Also, it turns out the white guy has to babysit the boss's wife, so he might be in grave danger. When they finally get to the destination, they come across a guy, and the Negro starts asking him too many questions and making him uncomfortable. Then he disrespectfully finesses his food right in front of his face, cause he knows he can't do anything about it. He asks some other guy on a couch for a location of a briefcase, which the white guy retrieves. Then the Negro murks the guy on the couch and starts applying more pressure to the first guy. Then in his final act of wickedness, he quotes a Bible verse before putting a man on a shirt. A true Christian. After this, it shows the boss talking to some boxer about how he needs to take an L because the boss has some green writing on the match, so he pays off the boxer to do what needs to be done. Then the white guy and the Negro walk in, and the bartender there brings up the fact that he has to babysit the boss's wife as if she isn't a grown-ass woman, and understandably, he's not very happy about it after the talk they had about it earlier in the movie. Then it cuts to some lowlife's crib where the white guy's making a deal for heroin with some lame bum. After this, the white guy self-medicates because he knows he has a long day ahead of him. When the white guy gets to the crib, the boss's wife is already playing games, talking to him over the intercom instead of just coming downstairs immediately. Like almost everyone else in the movie, she's an addict and she can't even hide it. Then she goes downstairs so they can vacate the premises. They end up going to some date's diner that the wife knows about because she can't let go of the past. While the two are talking, she reveals the boss put that one guy that they were talking about on a stretcher for some other reason than her, and she brings up a valuable point about niggas gossiping more than hoes these days. Then the girl decides to dance for a competition or something, so they do some lame dance, but since everyone there is a weirdo, they end up winning the competition. Or maybe it's because the boss is so clouded up that they knew they had to ride the wife's dick or else they get lit up. I mean, either way, it's a W within a wider L. When they get back home, they start feeling themselves over their undeserved victory, but while the white guy goes to do something, the wife feels the need to re-up yet again, but this time she does the most and ends up tweaking. So when the white guy gets downstairs, he sees that she's off one, and if she doesn't come back, he might be going with her. So he starts whipping around, trying to call the heroin deal to fix the situation, despite him being closed. The white guy ends up crashing there anyway, and forces the deal to help him, because she's the boss's wife, and they all might get sent to the other side if he finds out what happened. It turns out the dealer has medical equipment somewhere, so they use it to bring her back to this realm. After the drive home, they both agree not to bring this up with the boss, because what he doesn't know won't hurt him or them. And the next story, a minute ago, some boy is being told by a grown man that his father served in combat, but he couldn't make it out. But he was able to keep a watch up his rectum, so now his ally is here to give it to him. The boy heard it, but you know he's a fetus, so it's whatever. But then the boy grew up to be the boxer. It turns out he disobeyed the boss's order to take an L on purpose, and even ended up putting the other guy in his blunts, which really fucks over the boss, because he gave the boxer money just to go down, so now he's lost money on both ends. And the boss trying to have him sent. When the boxer escapes, he's in a whip with some psycho hoe who gets hard at the thought of men putting other people on shirts. Like, her being interested is one thing, but she keeps going on about it like calm down. After being bothered enough, he tells her that he doesn't care because he's a psycho too. Then he gets on the phone and starts talking pretty heavy about the body he just caught and making plans to do the dash. After this, the boxer goes to some hotel to see his wife, and they start talking about some more relevant subjects, like the wife wishing she was low-key obese. After he eats her out, they go to the bathroom to get ready for the next day, and discuss where they're going to do the dash to. The next day, the boxer gets woken up by a loud TV, because it gives him PTSD, and the wife talks about what she wants to eat later on, but then he realizes his wife failed to pack an extremely important watch for him, and he's on the verge of putting her on a stretcher, but then he calms down, because that can't go. so now he has to go back to his old crib and risk being put on a shirt over it. After doing the most to get there, he retrieves his watch, and he finds that somebody has already entered, and they brought the stick with them. When the boxer comes out, it turns out to be the white guy from earlier, and the boxer does him dirty. Then he starts whipping around and runs into the boss in the streets and tries to run over him, but it turns out he presses the gas in the intersection and gets hit by another car, so he's in danger. When the boss gets back up, he spots the boxer and starts dumping shells on him and chasing him around the block. Eventually, the boxer makes it to some Confederate shop, and the loser there is already annoying. Then the boss comes in to finish the job, but the boxer gets the upper hand, cause he's a boxer. But right before he can put the boss in the paper, the loser shop owner ups a big stick on him, makes him drop the strap. Then he gets them both out of commission and makes a call to another degenerate. When the boxer and the boss wake up, they find that they've been tied up in some basement, and the Confederate calls his partner in crime, the cop, and they discuss what they've caught. I know he's not really a cop, but whatever. And it turns out they're human traffickers or something, because they have some grown-ass men put in a weirdo costume and in chains. So as you can see, the boxer and the boss are in a very scary situation. So the cop starts playing games to see which one he wants to violate first. They leave the boxer alone with the sex slave. But the boxer uses his strength to break through the ropes, and the slave starts getting his feelings over it, so the boss has to put him down. And this part I don't get. So is the guy captured, or is this just a game to him? Or has he been enslaved mentally too? Either way, his life was inconsequential, so his loss will not be felt. When the boxer goes upstairs, he hears the degenerates going to town in the boss's ass, and even though he just spent the last act trying to murk him, the boxer feels sympathy for some reason, and grabs a sword so that he can save his op. When he goes downstairs, he sees the Confederate getting off on the violation of the boss, so he cuts him, and then he puts a sword up to the cop, and after the boss escapes, he picks up a stick and uses it on the cop. So the boss tells 12 that he will get his get back for the complete and utter L that he has suffered at the hands of another Y chromosome, and he tells the boxer that thanks to his valiant efforts, he gets a pass for finessing him, but he has to leave the city and never show his face again. Then the boxer finesses one of the rapist Spikes and makes it back to the motel to see his wife, and it's like another victory for the good guys. After this, it cuts back to that one scene from earlier in the movie where the white guy and the Negro put some guy on a shirt for playing with the boss's money. But after that, it turns out another guy was waiting out with a strap, and he tried blasting at them, but apparently he needs to go focus on his Call of Duty skills, because he couldn't even hit two of the niggas right in front of him, and they probably put him on the news. The Negro is stunned at this turn of events, and he believes it was the work of a higher power, but the white guy isn't trying to hear all that, so the Negro presses the white guy into admitting that they've been saved, and then they kidnap some guy that was there. When they get to the whip, they're still debating whether it was a miracle or coincidence, and the Negro decides to quit the business of putting niggas on shirts, so when the white guy turns around to ask their victim for his input, he ends up sending him to the next dimension, so the Negro has to make a call to some other guy. When they get to his crib, the white guy cleans himself with a towel, so the Negro gets on his ass for it. Eventually the guys meet up with the Negro's friend, and he starts talking wild, and using that word that often comes up in the Xbox Live chat right in front of the Negro, but he doesn't do anything about it, because he needs his help. So the Negro starts calling up the boss, who sends an OG to clean up the body, and also turns out the friend's wife is black, so I'm not sure where he gets off. When the OG gets there, he assesses the situation, and then tells the white guy and the Negro to clean up the car, and get rid of the pack in the back seats, but the white guy's in his feelings, because some other man is telling him what to do, so he has to get put back in his place. After the white guy and the Negro take the time to clean out the car, the OG and the friend also take the time to mock them for getting hosed, and they give them new clothes to wear, which they also get joked on for. So the OG has them follow him in a different whip to a new location, where he shows them his air. After he offers them a ride, they tell him they live in the cuts, so he basically pisses all over them, but he's G'd out, so they have to respect him. They end up in a restaurant where they talk about the events from earlier, and which types of meat are fit for consumption, and the white guy tries to convince him not to leave a life of crime. So the white guy goes to take a dump, and it turns out they're in the same location as the finessing from the very beginning of the movie. While the useless couple goes around taking everybody's stuff, the man comes across the Negro, but he isn't going, so he opens a pull on him, and then starts to negotiate with him, and telling him that he's being lame, and he also has his wife stand down. Then the white guy comes back from the bathroom, and they have a standoff, but the Negro tells him to lay low too, because he's having a discussion. Even though he gets the wallet, he lets them keep the money, like what part of the game is that? But the finesses do the dash, and the Negro leaves the place to start a new life. Overall, this movie was very important to watch. It's like an important piece of film history, it's actually good. Let me know what other movies and TV shows you want me to go over, and take away from this, that sometimes a story can be told out of order, yet still not put a nigga half to sleep. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.